Okay, so now we're going over homework number 31 from, this is section 8.2? Okay, so 31, what are the given info? B equals 4, C equals 6,
and B equals 20.
like big B? Yeah, angle B is how big? 20 degrees? Okay, so yes, you are giving psi, and an angle. So remember in the video notes, I said make sure you always put an angle right here, okay? Always. Doesn't matter what letter they give you, put it right there. Then if I put it right there, immediately that's angle what? B. You have to label it B, okay? If that's B, right across from that is how long? What's the leg across from it? 4. It has to be that way. Then I said, well, if you're giving a second leg, you have to put it as an adjacent leg, okay? If that adjacent leg is 6, that means this angle is what? It's C, right? And then that means A has to be at the very top, okay? So now you're giving psi, and angle. You're right, you have to determine how many. What are the rules? How many? What are the rules for no triangles? Opposite is less than the height. Perfect. Okay. What's the rule for one triangle? There are 2 of them.
Opposite is equal to the height.
Opposite must be exactly the same as the height, or
Opposite is greater than or equal to
opposite is greater than or equal to the adjacent. Very good. What's the rule for 2 triangles? The height, what about it? Less than
opposite.
the opposite, okay.
Greater than adjacent.
Oops, I spelled opop. Opposite. But then at the same time, it has to be less than the adjacent. Is that true? I'm sorry, the opposite is greater than the height. Is that okay? Opposite is greater than the height, but at the same time, it's less than the adjacent. Okay, so what do I need to find?
Is that somewhere in the notes?
Huh? The opposite has to be greater than the height. The opposite's in the middle. Okay. So double check your notes for me. Okay. Guy, double check your notes. Is this what we wrote in the notes? This is right here. I want to make sure because Pascal just showed me something and.
I have place adjacent is greater than height, is greater than opposite.
Is the opposite in the middle?
Yes.
Yes. The opposite's in the middle? In the notes? Okay, so then fix it then. If you don't have the opposite be in the middle, I would like for you to fix it for me, please. How come some of you have it in the middle and some don't? Okay, fix that for me. Do me a favor and fix this for me. Opposite is greater than the height, but not so great that it's beyond the adjacent leg. Okay, so fix that for me, please. Yeah, so fix this. So right now, if your note is not exactly like this, can you do me a favor and fix that right now? Okay, are we all good? All right, so guess what we need to find then? Because they all are comparing to what?
Height.
The height, okay? So let's find the height. How do we find the height?
Sine of 20 equals.
Yeah, let's do that.
6.
Sine of 20 degrees equals opposite, in this case is h, right? Over what? 6. Very good. How do I solve for h?
6 sine 20 equals.
Yeah, h equals 6 times sine of 20. Do we have a calculator so you can help me out with this? This is about 2 point what?
2.05.
2.05. Is that, someone confirm that for me? So go grab a calculator. Yep, okay, so 1 more time?
0.5.
0.5, okay. So let's double check this really quickly. Case number 1. No triangles. Is the opposite less than the height?
Which one's the opposite?
Oh yeah, good question. Which one's the opposite?
Yeah, that's what I was confused on.
Which one's the opposite? This is the angle that we're looking at, right?
Yeah.
So which one is the opposite of that?
Like 4.
Yes, like 4. You're right. That is the opposite leg. Which one's the adjacent? The 6. You're right. The bottom, technically, okay, so the bottom technically could be the adjacent, but we're just going to call that the base. Are we okay with that? Okay. So it's the opposite less than the height. Opposite is how big? How big is the opposite? 4. What's the height? 2.05. Is it less than?
No.
No, not possible. So that's not it. It's the opposite exactly the same as the height? No, that's not it. It's the opposite greater than or equal to the adjacent.
Yeah.
It's the opposite greater than the adjacent. Don't say sure.
Yes. No.
It's the opposite greater than the adjacent.
No.
No, the opposite is 4. Adjacent is 6. It's not greater than. So guess what? You only have one choice left.
2 triangles.
It's 2 triangles. All right. Now, if it's 2 triangles, let's find the first one. The first one is exactly as you see it. Can you see the drawing?
Yeah.
So what are the missing parts for the first triangle?
A side.
Yep.
Angle.
Missing parts.
C
Okay.
angle.
Because we are going to solve for 2 of them, let's label this angle A subscript what? 1. Okay. Angle C subscript 1. And what else is missing? Yeah, little a subscript 1. Okay. So missing parts. We'll put that right there. Then we are going to find the second one as well. All the letters are still the same, but we're going to call it subscript 2, just because that belongs to angle second triangle. Okay. All right, let's find the first one first. How do you just find the first one? Big C or big A or little c? I'm sorry, little a. Law of signs?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Sine of which one do you want to find first?
20.
20
Over 4.
degrees over 4 equal to, okay, sine of big C, which is unknown, all over. Beautiful. What do you do next? Right. Do we have calculators ready? Yep. Okay. 6 times sine of 20 equals 4 times sine of C. What do you do now? Divide both sides by 4. Excellent. So we now have sine of C equals 6 times sine of 20. Technically, you can reduce, but why bother when you punch it in anyway, right? C equals sine inverse. All right, someone punch out your calculator. Guys, make sure we know what to punch in or where the parentheses go. So practice that now. It's not going to do us any good on the test if you don't know how to use your calculator. All right, punch that all in. Faith, did you punch that in, dear? You have that already? Okay, beautiful. Can you give me the answer, dear? 30.2 decimal places, just for 8.6. Someone confirm that for me? Okay, 8.7? Okay, 8.7. So that's your C. So that goes right here. 30.89. No, 8.7. My bad. All right. How do I get angle A?
180 minus 50.8.
Yeah, so do that for me. 180 minus 50.87 is now 123 point what? 129.
3, so like 130.
Point
14.
14. Can't be 14.
Yeah, it's 13.
13? Okay, degrees, right? Now let's find little a. How do we find little a? Yeah, sine of 20 degrees again, right? Is that okay? All over 4 equals sine of 129.13 all over little a sub 1. All right, cross multiply, here we go. A times sine of 20 degrees equals 4 times sine of 129.13 degrees. Divide both sides by sine of 20 degrees. Using your calculator, what did you guys end up with? So A is about how big? 9.08? I don't know. What is it? Use a calculator. Guys, we have a calculator. Give me 2 decimal places, because that's what we've been using. 9.08 or 07? Which one? 07? Okay. All right, so that's the first triangle. The first triangle is just exactly the way that we have drawn it. Where would the second triangle be? What is that going to look like? What do you do with its opposite leg? This is the part that's, remember, this is the part that we need to move. Where do you move that to? The other side of what? The height, you're right. It goes this way. It goes that way. So here's that way. Okay, can you see that? So the second triangle is this piece right here. So let me draw that out in this this green color. So the 6 is still this right there. Okay, so this is still 6. This base is now much shorter. Okay, so this is still angle B, and angle B is still how big? 20 degrees. That's why that's not moving. Okay, now the 4 is no longer to the right of the height, but it's now on the left of the height. And that leg is still what? How big is that leg? Still what? 4. That doesn't change anything, okay? Because that leg is still 4, that's why. So now your C subscript 2 is this one, okay? And the A subscript 2 is that one on the top. So location-wise, they don't move. Can you guys see that? Now the measurement is going to change. So where's your little A sub 2? It's at the very bottom. Can you see that's a lot shorter than A sub 1? Yep. Okay, so let's find them. So let me tell you, so remember this piece was the one that's missing. Would you agree? Yeah. So let's talk about this. This angle and this angle, they should be exactly the same. So how do I get big C sub 2? How do I get this one right here? What do I need? Right, so C sub 2 equals 180 minus, remember, wasn't this C sub 1 originally? What was C sub 1? Yeah, 30.87. All right, punch in your calculator. C sub 2 is now 149. One more time. 1.13. Someone confirm that? Yeah. Okay, so that's your C sub 2. Is that okay? 149.13. Great. How do I get A sub 2? Big A sub 2, I should say.
180 minus what you just got.
Yep. Right. 180 minus what you just got and minus 20 originally. And that now will give me a small angle. How small? 10.87. Thank you. And look at the proportion. Does that make sense how A sub 2, angle A sub 2 is a lot smaller? Right? All right. Now how do I find the last piece of information? Leg subscript A sub 2. Yeah, let's use last sign. And I'm still going to use the exact angle before. Sine of 20 degrees over leg 4 equals sine of big A sub 2. Did we find big A sub 2? Yeah, it was 10.87. 10.87 over little sub 2 right there. Okay. Now I'm just going to cross multiply. So now I'm going to get A times sine of 20 degrees equals 4 times sine of 10.87. Divide both sides by sine of 20 degrees. Okay, so A, it's about. So punch that in, let me know. What is it? 2.21. Is that right? Okay. Any question on how we determine how many triangles now? Going once? Going twice? Is that the only one with 2 triangles? 35 is another one? Okay. I want you to go back and fix 35 and make sure that has solutions for 2 triangles. Okay. Were you able to get 35 on your own? So what was the difference between 35 and this one was 31?
No, I figured them out.
Okay. Okay, so I'll be okay with this. All right, any questions on the remaining homework 2? Anything that you were not clear that we need to go over?
39.
What's 39? So read me 39 really quickly.
Yeah, 39. Says here with a drawing.
Okay.
So it's already skin counting.
Just read it to me. I'll figure it out.
Define the length of the span of the proposed ski lift from P to Q, and the surveyor measures angle DPQ to be 25 degrees, and then walks off a distance of 1,000 feet to R, and measures PRQ to be 15 degrees. What is the distance between P and Q?
Okay, so let me make this. So this is your P, so let me just move that dot really quickly. This is P, right? And then there's a D down here somewhere. So I'm assuming this is a right what? Triangle. I'm sorry, that's P, that's R at the end, my bad. This is R right here. The Q is already on the top. Okay. And they give you this is 15 degrees. Okay. And they said this right here is 1,000 feet. Okay. And they said this is 25 degrees. Okay. All right. So find the length of the span of a proposed ski lift from P to Q. Okay. So P to Q. P is right here. Q is right here. So find the length of that. What do you do? What do you do? Do I know, by the way, this is right angle, right, class?
Yeah.
Do I know this angle?
No.
Right now you don't, but can you easily find it?
Yeah.
What is that? What is that?
It's like 65.
It's 65. How do you figure that?
90 plus 25.
Right. So this is 65. It was not given to you, but you can totally find it. If that's 65, can I find the one right next to it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if that's 65, by the way, can I find this? Let's call this X. Is it possible to find that? What do you do? Another question. If this is 25, can I find this? Yeah. What do you do?
It's 60.
It's 180 minus 25, right? So what would that be?
Oh, is it 180?
Yeah, a straight line's always 180. Yeah. So 180 minus 25. So what is that big obtuse angle right there? 155. Great. Then if that's okay, then can I find this at the top? Yeah, 180, take away 15, take away 155. So what is it now? 10 degrees?
Oh, this is 50.
Perfect. Okay, I have all of the angles. Can I find that side? Let's call X right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally, right?
Lost side.
Law of sine?
Sure.
Okay. Sine of 10 degrees, right, class? Over 1,000. Very good. Equals
Those degrees keep the answer.
equals what? Remember, this is that, right? These are opposites. Equals to what?
Sine of 150.
Sine of 15, isn't it?
I hate thinking that.
Because am I not looking for the opposite of 15 degrees?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sine of 15 degrees all over that X value. Would you agree? All right. Cross multiply. X times sine of 10 degrees equals 1,000 times sine of 15 degrees. Divide both sides by sine of 10 degrees. Make sure you're in mode degrees. All right. Let's out your calculator. X is about 149 what? 0.48. 0.48, and then the unit of measurement for this problem is feet. Thank you so much. Does that look right? Okay. All right, other questions? Any questions at all? Going once? Going twice? Ale?
Well, I know maybe you could do 35.
Sure, what is 35?
35 is that's the two triangles, right?
A equals
A equals?
A equals 2.
Uh-huh.
C equals 1.
C equals 1.
And angle C equals 25.
Great. All right. This is SSA, right? SSA, so that means you're going to draw the triangle in this way. Where do you put the angle?
Oh, it's just
Yeah, at that bottom left. Okay, not because it's any right or wrong. It just so that way when you draw the triangle, the base is still the same, right? You're not moving the base. Okay, so this goes as 25 degrees and put C right there. That means leg C is right over here. Would you agree? That means 1 unit. Well, and then I said you have to put the other leg right here. Okay, so that means this is angle A. So where does B go? You're right. Okay, so let's figure out how many triangles. Let's write down the rules again. 0 triangles means that you have, what's the rule for 0 triangles? Opposite must be, yep, less than the height. Beautiful. 1 triangle, that means opposite must be greater than or equal to the, oh, my computer's sleeping. Can someone go tap on my desktop, Kayla? Thank you. Opposite is greater than or equal to the adjacent, or opposite exactly the height. Very good. All right. 2 triangles. It's when we have the opposite is right in the middle of what? The height and adjacent. Okay. Perfect. So guess what? Let's decide whether it's 1 triangle or not. Let's check for that. Because if it's 1 triangle, then I don't have to find the height. Does that make sense? Okay. Well, maybe I do. First, let's check. Is the opposite greater than, well, actually, I can't check that yet. Is the opposite greater than or equal to the adjacent? No, so cross that out. Then the rest, I do need to find the height, huh? Never mind. Go find the height. How do I find the height? Sine of 25 degrees equals h over 2. Great. So h is 2 times sine of 25 bubbles, which is about how big? .84? Thank you. 0.85. Okay, so that's your height. So let's check the other one. Is the opposite exactly the same as the height? No, its opposite is 1. Is opposite less than the height? Nope. So guess what? You got 2 triangles, okay? So let's find the first one exactly the way it looks. So we are missing angle B. So now let's call it B subscript 1. Angle A subscript 1, and then leg B subscript 1. So let's box that up right there. Then that means you're also going to be missing the subscript 2, okay? B subscript 2, angle A subscript 2, and leg B subscript 2. So the first one is exactly the way that we have drawn it out. So how do we find, what do you want to find first? Well, actually, what do you have to find first? A or B? Big angle A or big angle B? It has to be A, right? Because A has a given, like, okay, so here we go. Sine of big A equals over 2, equals to sine of 25 over 1. So I cross multiply. 1 times sine of A equals 2 times sine of 25. Dividing by 1 is exactly the same, right? So I don't need to divide by 1. Would you guys agree with that? So sine of A is that, so which is A equals sine inverse of that, which is, punch it in, let me know when you get something. 57.7. Okay, bubbles. All right, so that is my A. So 57.7. All right, B. 180 minus A1 and minus 25. So what's B? 97.3. Thank you. Then I need to use that to find little b, right? So sine of 97.3 degrees all over b subscript 1 equals to, I'm going to use the exact, always use the exact when possible. And again, cross multiply. So 1 times sine of 97.3 is itself, equals to b times sine of 25 degrees. Divide both sides by sine of 25. Okay. All right, so what's sine of 97.3 divided by sine of 25? 2.35, and that's units, so I don't need to put the bubble on it. 2.35. Any question on that first red triangle? Now the question is, what's the smaller one? What's the second triangle? Where do you swing that leg 1 unit? The other side of your right. So it's going to look like this. So I'm going to draw that over. Okay. So this second one, the red is still this leg of 2 units. This is still 25 degrees, and that's still C. Then this green leg is now over here. Okay. So let me erase that extra piece. There you go. Now all of the measurements are now going to change except the one leg, the 2 and the 25 degrees. Okay, so now on the top, we're going to call this right here B subscript 2. This is A subscript 2, and then this is leg B subscript 2. Now the 1 unit is still here, right guys? All right. Which one is easiest to find first without using any law? Angle A, right guys? Angle A subscript 2. Why is angle A subscript 2 the easiest? Yeah, because couldn't I take, remember, you're missing this part. Okay, that's the part you're missing. So this angle and that angle is the same, right? And this angle over here, wasn't it A1? So A2 is like 180 minus A subscript 1, which is, yeah, 180 minus, that one's 57.7. So this is now what? 122? 22.3, like that? Okay, so that's your A subscript 2. 122.3 bubbles. Okay, then can I take 180 minus 122.3 minus 25 to get B2? So what's B2? 32.7. Great. And then now I do have to use the law of sine for B subscript 2, right? So sine of 25 degrees all over 1 equals sine of 32.7 degrees all over B subscript 2. Cross multiply. So that means B times sine of 25 degrees equals 1 times sine of 32.7. It's just simply sine of 32.7. Divide both sides by sine of 25 degrees. Okay. So now B, it's about, how small is this? 1.28. Thank you. Is that right? Okay. So 1.28. And make sure you guys have bubbles where they are needed. Any questions on now how to find 2 triangles? All right, I'm going to come around and stamp your assignment. Go ahead and work on today's assignment.